Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Trevor Goldiger Drums. Today we're going to look at some hi-hats. And you know, what size hi-hats do you use? But also what size hi-hats probably suits the style of music. Throughout the different eras of music, there have been, I suppose, common size hi-hats that people use and common types. One that really comes to mind is the 1970s. When rock music really started to take off. We had, John Bonham, who used to use 15-inch paste hi-hats, and he used to use the ones with the, what were they called? Sound Edge, that's what they were called. They had the lumpy sort of bottom hi-hat cymbal. So yeah, Sound Edge. So they were sort of like they were crimped. Interesting sound, but they were really bright, loud, and crisp. And you know, once John Bonham started using them, every person that played rock music started to buy those hi-hats. You got even back in the 70s and 60s, you had bands like Creedence Clearwater Revival. Their drummer actually used 17-inch hi-hats like the ones I've got here. Going back through the 80s, I suppose, there was a lot of drummers using 13-inch hi-hats. So through the different periods, there's, certain hi-hat sizes often were used. I own 14-inch hats, which was the very common standard sort of set of hi-hats. I got 14. I got a couple of sets of 15, and I've got these ones that are sitting here right now, which are 17-inch. They're actually not a true set of hi-hats. They're actually two crash cymbals paired together to make up a set of hi-hats. And they're actually paste. One is the bottom one is a little bit heavier, and the top crash cymbal is very, very light. These are a set that Steve Jordan uses. These were actually exactly the same sort of cymbals that he was using for his hi-hats, still does. I think Pace now actually make a Steve Jordan hi-hat set, which is basically these two crash cymbals. And if you're not aware, Steve Jordan is the new Rolling Stones drummer, but Steve Jordan has played with everybody over the years. Incredibly good drummer. If you've never heard of Steve Jordan, get on YouTube, type his name in. He's got a pocket like you wouldn't believe. But anyway, let's play a few of these hi-hats and have a look at what size hats do you think you really like the sound of. I'm fortunate here too, my 14-inch hi-hats are exactly the same as one of my 15-inch set, which are Zildjian Kerope. So you can get to compare really the same brand, same model, one in 14, one in 15. So I'll put them up in a minute too. And I also have a set of Zildjian K Sweet hats. They are 15s. They are actually my favorite hats that I own. I really love those hats. But anyway, let's start with these 17s. And as I said, they're actually not an actual set of hi-hats. They're actually two crash cymbals, and they're made by Paste. And I love the sound of them, especially if you're playing them open a little bit so they're really washy. So really nice tone. So that's the 17s. I'll just take these off and we'll work down. This is actually, if you wanted to know the two crash cymbals that are on here, this is actually a 17-inch fin crash paste. I think it's a signature series. And the bottom, which is a bit heavier, is what they call a 17-inch dark energy crash Mark 1. I'm not sure if they still make these cymbals, but anyway, that's what that set is. So let's get this clutch off here and drop another set of hi-hats on. So what I've got here is a 15-inch set of Zildjian K's sweet hi-hats. These are probably my favorite hi-hats that I own. I use these on a lot of gigs. I just love the sort of meatiness and the tone of them. They're not too bright and crispy, but they just got this really pleasing tone to them. I suppose being sweet hats, they really are what they say they are. They're really sweet. So let's give these guys a go. So these are 15-inch hats. So they have this really, how can I describe it? Almost a MIDI, not too crispy, not too dull, just right, just like that breakfast cereal. Okay, let's drop these out now. So that was Zildjian K Sweet Hats, 15-inch. So what I'll do now, I'll bring up another set of 15s. And they are Zildjian too. I love Zildjian, if you haven't realized. And these hats are another 15-inch, and they're actually the Carope model. So these are, as I said, Zildjian Carope. These ones actually have the gram weight written on the cymbals. The bottom is 1,182 grams, and the top is 918 grams. Most hi-hat sets have a heavier bottom cymbal. That just gives them that classic hi-hat sound. These hats that I'm putting on here now too, these are quite special. I bought these from a friend of mine. These hi-hats were played on the Soul Deep album of Jimmy Barnes, and they were used on the Soul Deep Barnes tour, and I think they were also played through Europe and everything. So these are really got a bit of a good history about them, these hi-hats. Anyway, these are, as I said, 15-inch Zildjian Keropes. So let's see what they sound like. So there you have it, 15 Keropes. As I said, these are really my favourite hi-hats that I own. Love them. So what we're going to do now is put on a set of 14-inch Keropes and let you hear them. And these 14-inch Keropes, they have the weight of these as well. The bottom is 1,184 grams, and the top is 958 grams. So being smaller, that usually translates that they actually have a little bit more brightness and a bit more chippiness to them. Doesn't always pan out that way, but in the case of these, they are brighter. So there you have it. 14-inch Keropes, 15-inch Keropes, 15-inch Zildjian Sweet Hats, and a set of 17-inch hi-hats. Depending on the style of music, how you like to play, you know, if you're playing a lot of music that's got a lot, you know, you like that big, obnoxious, washy sound when you open your hi-hats up, well, you're probably better off with bigger hats as opposed to smaller ones. If I open these and wash them, they still sound good. But bigger sounds better, in my opinion. Anyway, that's my humble opinion on that. That said, you know, as I mentioned at the start of this video, Creedence Clearwater Revival's drummer, he used to use 17-inch hi-hats on all of those hits. You know, Fortunate Son, all those types of songs. He used 17-inch hats on them. And during that period, very few people were using that bigger hi-hat. A lot of people were using 14s back then, like these guys. But anyway, you don't actually have to have a set of hi-hats. Like I said, like with my 17s, they are 2 crash cymbals. If you've got one that's a bit heavier, put that on the bottom and try it. You know, grab a couple of cymbals or get your existing hi-hats and use the heavy bottom and try a crash cymbal of the same size, diameter, on top and have a listen. See what it sounds like. You might find you might be able to make yourself a really unique set of hi-hats that really becomes your sound, so to speak. So just like with Steve Jordan, those 17-inch hats that I got, that's part of his sound. He's renowned for having those 17-inch hats. So, you know, experiment a little bit. Grab yourself, you know, a couple of crashes, put them together, see what they sound like. Try them, you know, with different combinations and see what happens. All hi-hats that cost, you know, money normally sound pretty good. Today's modern sort of cymbal makers, a lot of them, there's not many bad sounding hi-hats around. Of course, in the cheaper student models, they don't sound as good as professional models, but the professional ones, regardless of the brand you're using, they often, you know, they all sound good. It's just finding the ones that have that sound that just really sit well with you, sit well with the style of music that you're playing, and important too, to sit well with the other cymbals you're using, so they all sonically match each other to a certain degree. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Anyway, I'm waffling on. I don't need to keep talking on this subject. Go out there and go into a few drum stores and try out some different hats and see what's out there for you. It's good to have a few different sets of hi-hats if you can afford it, because if you're playing lots of different styles of music, certain hi-hats will suit certain styles of music for you. Anyway, on that note, thanks for watching once again. Please subscribe and also click that little notification bell too. That really helps my channel. If you haven't subscribed, as I said, please subscribe. Also, have a look through my channel. I have about 170 or so videos up there. I'm sure you'll find something there that's of interest to you. And if you have a topic or any comments, please drop them below, and I'll do my best to reply as soon as I can. On that note, thank you for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye.